The rain hammered the tin roof like 1,000 unanswered questions. Each drop a reminder that silence could drown a man faster than water. I stared at the chessboard on my porch table. My queen toppled in a move-eyed scene coming but couldn't stop. Much like the day Marcus walked out, leaving me with a heart fractured into pieces too jagged to reassemble. Then, from the shadows of the overgrown hedge between our yards, a voice cut through the storm. Checkmate? Or just another night of losing to ghosts? I jolted upright, my coffee mug tipping black rivers across the damp wood. As if the universe had conspired to spill my secrets right there under the sodium glow of the street lamp. The man stepping into the light, tall, with rain-slicked blonde hair curling at his temples and a crooked smile that carried the weight of too many late-night confessions, held out a white knight he'd plucked from the grass, like he'd been watching me play alone for weeks. His name was Nathan, and he claimed the empty Adirondack chair across from me without asking, as if the porch had been waiting for him all along. Seattle's November drizzle had a way of blurring boundaries, turning strangers into reluctant confidants, but this felt different. Like the rain wasn't just falling, it was washing away the invisible walls I'd built around my evenings. I'd been coming out here every night since the divorce papers came 6 months back, setting up that battered walnut chessboard my dad had carved in '98, the year he died. It was my ritual, my anchor. White against black, strategy against chaos. A game where I could control the losses instead of letting them control me. Nathan wiped the night on his flannel shirt. Red plaid. The kind that screamed Pacific Northwest lumberjack chic without trying too hard, and placed it back on the board with a soft click. "I'm the new guy next door," he said, his voice low and gravelly, laced with that easy Midwestern drawl that made everything sound like an invitation. "Nathan Hale. Saw you out here most nights, moving pieces like they owed you money. Figured I'd save you from checkmating yourself again." I laughed, a rusty sound I hadn't heard from my own throat in months. Caleb Whitaker. And it's not self-checkmate. Deliberate. Keeps the mind sharp. It was penance, replaying the endgame of my marriage over and over. The way Marcus had maneuvered me into a corner with his quiet accusations. "You're always half here, Cal. Like you're still chasing shadows from high school." Shadows. Yeah, that was one way to put it. He leaned back, stretching his legs out, boots scuffed from what looked like a recent hike up in the Cascades. Mid-30s, maybe, with laugh lines etching his blue eyes and a jaw that could cut glass if you stared too long. Deliberate losing, huh? Sounds like my kind of therapy. Back in Chicago, I'd play speed chess in Wrigleyville bars, but out here, this rain's got its own rhythm. Makes a guy want to settle in. The downpour eased to a patter, and I found myself studying him. The way his fingers drummed the armrest, calloused from guitar strings or manual labor, I couldn't tell yet. "You play." I nodded at the board. "Chess?" Enough to not embarrass myself. He scooted forward, resetting the pieces with efficient flicks, his pawn advancing like it had places to be. We started slow. Knights dancing tentative probes, bishops slicing diagonals that mirrored the cautious words we traded. He was a graphic designer, freelance, escaping the grind of corporate gigs for freelance freedom. Divorced too. No kids, thank God. And he'd bought the fixer-upper next door on a whim, sight unseen, because the listing said cozy, and who doesn't need more cozy after 30? I mirrored his bishop with my own, capturing nothing but air. Cozy's overrated. This place was my folks, inherited it when Dad passed. Mom's in assisted living now, Portland. It's got history, but history's heavy. The words slipped out unbidden, like the rain seeping through the porch slats. Nathan's eyes flicked up, holding mine a beat too long. Heavy how? Like ghosts or regrets? Both. My king edged sideways, evading but not escaping. We played on, the game stretching as the streetlights buzzed to life, casting elongated shadows that tangled like unspoken thoughts. He beat me in 27 moves, but it didn't sting. His gotcha came with a grin that softened the defeat. By the time we packed up, the air smelled of wet pine and possibility. "Same time tomorrow?" he asked, lingering at the steps. I hesitated, the old caution flaring. Trust was a luxury I'd bankrupted myself on with Marcus. But the board felt lighter in my hands, the pieces less like accusations. Yeah, bring your A game. No more ghosts. He tipped an imaginary hat and vanished into the hedge, leaving me with the echo of his laugh and a warmth in my chest I hadn't felt since the last good rain. The next evening, the sky held its breath, a rare clear dusk painting the Olympics purple on the horizon. I set the board out early, wiping it down with a rag that smelled faintly of Dad's pipe tobacco. Nathan appeared right on cue, this time with a six-pack of Rainier in a cooler bag slung over his shoulder. "Peace offering," he said, cracking one for each of us. The beer was cold, bittersweet, cutting through the chill like truth serum. We dove into the game with more fire, queens aggressive, rooks charging like they had scores to settle. Between moves, fragments of lives spilled out. He talked about his ex, Jamie, a high school teacher who'd wanted the picket fence and 2.4 kids. But Nathan's truth, the one that came out over a bottle of bourbon 2 Thanksgivings ago, had splintered that dream. "He said he loved me anyway," Nathan murmured, sacrificing a pawn without flinching. But the anyway was the killer, like my being gay was a footnote he could edit out. I nodded, my rook pinned under his bishop. Marcus never said it outright, but I felt it. The way he'd flinch during family dinners. Like my hand on his knee under the table was a dirty secret. It was the first time I'd voiced it aloud since the split, the words hanging in the air like steam from our beers. Nathan's hand hovered over his night, then withdrew. Family dinners. God, mine were minefields. Dad was a cop, old-school Chicago PD. Mom baked the best apple pie, but she'd whisper prayers for me after church. I came out at 16, right after prom, went with a girl to keep the peace, but the lie choked me. Told them over meatloaf. Dad walked out mid-bite. Didn't come back till dessert, and even then, it was "we'll pray on it." The board blurred for a second, my mind flashing to my own kitchen table, age 18, the summer before college. I'd buried that night deep, but Nathan's words pried at the lid. We finished the game in silence after that, him winning again, but as he stood to leave, he clapped my shoulder, firm, lingering. "You're a hell of a player, Caleb, even when you're holding back." I watched him go, the hedge swallowing him whole, and for the first time in years, the porch didn't feel like a confessional booth. Felt like home. Word count crept into habit over the week. Our evenings a ritual etched in rain and resin. Nathan brought stories like contraband. The time he hitchhiked from Illinois to Seattle with nothing but a backpack and a sketchpad, drawing buskers in Portland for beer money. The freelance gig that tanked when a client ghosted him over creative differences that really meant Nathan's rainbow pin on his lanyard. I countered with scraps of my life. Teaching history at the community college downtown, grading papers on the civil rights era while wondering why equality still felt like a draft proposal. Dad's stories of Vietnam, the ones he'd carve into chess pieces during flashbacks, turning kings into medics with worried brows. One night, mid-game, thunder rumbled distant, and Nathan paused, fork lightning etching his face silver. Ever feel like life's just one long zugzwang? Your move, but every option sucks. I captured his queen, my first win, and leaned back, savoring it. All the time, like that summer after high school, I had this best friend, Alex. We were inseparable, road trips to the coast, sneaking beers at Golden Gardens. He was the one who made coming out feel possible. But I screwed it up, royally. Nathan's eyes sharpened, but he didn't push. Instead, he reset the board, his fingers steady. We all have those moves we take back. Doesn't make the game over. The rain held off that night, stars pricking the velvet sky like hesitant apologies. As he left, our goodnight fist bump lingered, knuckles brushing in a way that sent a spark up my arm. I told myself it was the static from the wool of his jacket. But deep down, in the quiet after, I knew. The board wasn't the only thing between us anymore. By the 10th evening, the hedge between our yards had been trimmed back. "Nathan's doing," he said, with a wink and a borrowed chainsaw from the neighbor 2 doors down. "Gotta see my opponent coming," he joked. But now the porch felt shared, the air charged with the scent of his cedar cologne mingling with my coffee grounds. We played under the awning as a squall blew in from the sound, wind whipping the evergreens into a frenzy. His opening was bold, Sicilian defense, aggressive as his tales that night. Growing up queer in a South Side neighborhood where fag was currency for bullies, how he channeled it into art. Murals on abandoned warehouses, portraits of drag queens that made the local paper before the city painted over them. "Art's my rebellion," he said, advancing his knight with a flourish. "What's yours, Cal?" "Besides losing gracefully," I chuckled, countering with a Rui Lopez. "Writing, I guess. Journals, mostly. Never published. Too raw." Truth was, those pages held the rot I'd buried. Alex's laugh echoing in my ears, the beach bonfire where I'd confessed my feelings. Not to him, but to the flames, and the betrayal that followed, sharp as a gutted fish. The game turned fierce, pieces falling like autumn leaves. Midway, Nathan's phone buzzed on the table, screen lighting up with a name, Jamie. He silenced it without looking, but the shadow crossed his face, a pawn's worth of hesitation. "X?" I asked, casual as rain. "Yeah, water under the bridge. Or beer in our case." He forced a grin, but it didn't reach his eyes. We finished in a draw, rare, electric, and as the storm broke, he stood too quick, chair scraping. "Night, neighbor. Don't let the ghosts win tomorrow." Alone, I replayed the buzz, the flicker. Trust was a tightrope, and I'd wobbled before. But Nathan's draw felt like grace, and I clung to it as the rain sang me to uneasy sleep. Winter clamped down hard after that, Seattle's gray skies pressing like a thumb on an open wound. The chessboard gathered frost some mornings, but we persisted, heaters humming on the porch like reluctant chaperones. Nathan arrived one evening bundled in a peacoat, cheeks flushed from the cold, carrying a thermos of spiked cider, mulled with bourbon, because December deserves warmth. We sipped and played, the steam curling between us like secrets half told. His stories deepened with the chill. Thanksgivings alone after coming out, sketching turkey skeletons in diners while families laughed tables away. The freelance drought that had him busking guitar on Pike Place, covers of Springsteen that drew tips from tourists mistaking his ache for homesickness. "It's the invisibility that kills you," he said, his bishop slicing mine clean. "Not the hate, the erasure, like you're a glitch in their straight-line world." I nodded, my king cornered but fighting. "Tell me about it." Teaching freshmen about Stonewall, Harvey Milk, they nod along, but then one kid asks, "So, why do we still need pride if it's legal now?" And I'm sitting there, 32, with a divorce decree that says, irreconcilable differences code for, "I can't love a man who loves men in secret anymore." The words burned, fresh as the cider, and Nathan's gaze held steady. No pity, just the quiet solidarity of survivors. We drew again, the board a battlefield of equals. As he poured refills, his sleeve rode up, revealing a tattoo. A compass rose inked in faded blue, needle pointing true north. "For direction," he explained, tracing it absently. "Got it after Jamie. Reminds me wandering's okay if you're headed somewhere real." My fingers itched to touch it, to map the lines, but I busied them with pawns instead. "I've got scars too. Not ink. Just memories." Alex's face swam up unbidden. 17, sun-bleached hair, eyes like the Salish Sea. We'd planned to run away after graduation, Portland art scene or bust. But fear's a hell of a gambit, and I'd folded. Nathan leaned in, elbows on knees, the thermos forgotten. "Wanna talk about it?" No judgment, just the board and bourbon. The invitation hung, heavy as the fog rolling in from the bay. I started slow. The bonfire crackle, salt air thick with possibility. Alex's hand on my shoulder, platonic but electric. My confession, slurred on cheap wine. "I think I love you, man, like more than friends." His recoil, not hate, but confusion, the kind that shatters glass castles. Then the betrayal. I told his sister, thinking it'd force his hand, make him choose us over fear. Instead, it outed him to the whole damn town, church whispers, football coaches glare, his parents shipping him to boarding school in Spokane by fall. "I didn't mean to blow it up," I whispered, Rain starting again, pattering like accusatory fingers. But I did. He never spoke to me again. Last I heard, he's in LA, married to a woman, kids. Straight as the arrow I knocked. Nathan's hand covered mine then, brief but anchoring, thumb brushing my knuckles. You were a kid, Kel, scared. That doesn't make you the villain. It makes you human. His voice cracked on the last word, and I wondered what ghosts chased him. We packed up in silence, but as he turned to leave, he paused. Thanks for trusting me. Means more than you know. The hedge loomed, trimmed but thorny, and I watched him disappear, the warmth of his touch lingering like embers. The holidays loomed like storm fronts, and our games became lifelines. Christmas Eve, Nathan knocked with a wrapped box, ridiculous, a chess timer engraved with for the long games. No ghosts tonight, he declared, and we played by candlelight, the board aglow amid strings of LEDs I'd hung last minute. He opened up more, Jamie's betrayal, not a flinch but a fade, the slow poison of I love you, but turning to packed bags and a lease on Nathan's heart. He said it was the kids at school, the parents complaining. But really, it was him. Couldn't square his circle. Nathan's rook fell unnecessary, a sacrificial lamb. I countered Queen N prize but ignored. Marcus ghosted too, in a way. After the split, he moved to Tacoma, started dating a woman from his office. Posted pics, happy family vibes. Like our 5 years were a phase. The hurt clawed up, raw, but saying it aloud diluted the venom. Nathan's eyes softened, candle flames dancing in them. Phases end, but the real shit? It sticks. He reached across, adjusting my pawn. Not a move, just a touch. Our fingers intertwined for a heartbeat, then released, the air humming. Midnight mass bells tolled distant from St. Mark's, and we toasted with cider dregs. To New Year's, he said, and new moves. New Year's brought resolution and revelation. Fireworks popped over the Space Needle, visible from the porch if you squinted past the pines. Nathan showed up in a beanie, cheeks ruddy, with a playlist of queer anthems. Chapman, Rawling, the ones that make you believe in reinvention. We played drunk on champagne and candor. He confessed the tattoo's full story, inked in a Seattle parlor run by a trans artist who'd lost her brother to conversion therapy. North's not a place, Nathan said, voice thick. It's a choice. His knight forked my rooks, but I saw it coming, letting it happen for the poetry. My turn. The journal I'd burned after Marcus left, pages of what-ifs about Alex, about Dad's unspoken acceptance. He'd never said the words, but he'd leave Philadelphia cued on the VCR, a wink in the dark. I carry them all, I admitted, king castling into safety. Like extra pieces in my pocket. Nathan smiled, slow and knowing. Then let's lighten the load. One game at a time. The countdown echoed from neighbors' TVs, and as the ball dropped on screens worldwide, he pulled me into a hug. Clumsy, champagne-fueled, but real. Happy New Year, Cal. His breath warmed my neck, stubble grazing, and for a moment, the world narrowed to heartbeats syncing like metronomes. We pulled apart laughing, but the seed was planted, roots tentative in frozen soil. January thawed us slow, games evolving into something hybrid. Chess interspersed with acoustic sets, Nathan's guitar humming folk tunes about lost boys finding harbors. One night, mid-fast car cover, his phone lit up again, Jamie. This time he answered voice-clipped, Yeah, man. No, it's fine. Look, gotta go. Friends waiting. He hung up, strumming harder, but the chord soured. Old habits, he muttered. Or unfinished business? I pressed gentle as a pawn push. Nathan set the guitar down, eyes on the board. He's getting married. To her. Invited me like pity points. I said no, but he trailed off, queen advancing reckless. I captured it, then slid my hand over his. You don't owe him your closure. You've got this. Us, I almost said. He turned his palm up, lacing fingers. Yeah, I do. The kiss that followed was inevitable, soft, exploratory, tasting of strings and second chances. Rain fell outside, but on the porch it was spring. February's frost etched the windows like lace, but our porch burned warmer, the chessboard now a stage for stolen glances and grazed knees. Nathan's presence filled the cracks in my routine, the way he'd hum off-key while brewing coffee in my kitchen some mornings, or leave sketches on the fridge. Caricatures of us as kings and knights, crowns askew. Royalty in exile. He'd caption them and I'd laugh, but the ache in my chest was joy, sharp and unfamiliar. We played one evening under a canopy of stars, rare and defiant against light pollution. His opening was King's Gambit, all in from the start, mirroring the way he'd started weaving into my life. Impromptu dinners of takeout pho from the Vietnamese spot on Aurora, walks along the Burke-Gilman Trail where he'd point out herons like old friends. See that? Patient hunter. Like you on the board. He'd tease, and I'd shove him playful, our shoulders bumping into something electric. Tonight, though, his moves faltered, night retreating hesitant. Spill, I said, sipping from the mug he'd filled chamomile, his touch. He exhaled white breath. Got a call from my sister today. First in years. Mom's sick pancreatic. Dad's stonewalling, but she wants me home for the end. His bishop hung undefended, a white flag. I took it gently, then set my queen aside. Chicago in winter? Brutal. But family. The word tasted like ash. Mine was scattered. Mom fading in her Portland haze, Dad's grave under Olympic snow. Nathan's eyes glistened, street lamp haloing him. It's not just sick, it's the whole mess. Last time I went back, Dad cornered me in the garage. You choose this life you choose alone, like love's a crime scene. He laughed bitter, but his hand found mine across the table, anchoring. Then don't go alone, I said, the words bold as my rooks advance. Take the fight to them, or hell let me come. Back up, king. He squeezed, thumb circling my knuckle. Tempting, but you'd hate the meatloaf. We kissed then, slow under the chill, his lips tasting of mint and resolve. The game abandoned, we migrated inside. First time. The couch creaking under us as talks turned to touches, boundaries blurring in the firelight. No rush, just mapping. The constellation of freckles on his collarbone, the scar on his rib from a bar fight over a slur. Worth it? He murmured, tracing my jaw. Every mark. Dawn found us tangled in flannel sheets, his head on my chest, heartbeat a steady pawn march. This, he whispered, this is north. But March brought mutterings from the wind. Neighbors' curtains twitching, Mrs. Hargrove from across the street asking overly sweet about that nice young man next door, always over so late. I brushed it off. Seattle prided itself on progress, rainbow crosswalks on Capitol Hill. Still, the old paranoia prickled, a ghost from Marcus's flinches. Nathan felt it too, his sketches turning introspective. Us on a chessboard sea, waves of doubt lapping. One night, mid-game, his phone buzzed insistent. Jamie again. He stepped inside to take it, door ajar, voice low. I said no, man. It's over. Yeah, there's someone. No, you don't get to. The slam echoed, and he returned, face storm-clouded. Trouble? I asked, resetting pawns like nothing. He dropped into the chair, running hands through hair. Just echoes. Thinks he can waltz back. Fix things now that he's sure. Air quotes sharp as daggers. His knight lunged forward, aggressive. Parried, then paused. And you? Sure. Nathan's gaze locked. Fierce. Surer than I've ever been. The kiss that sealed it was fire. Desperate, claiming, rain sheeting the awning like applause. But echoes have volume. A week later, over eggs at my kitchen table, Nathan's laptop opened to emails. He froze. Shit. Client gig big one. Ad campaign for a Portland firm. But it's Jamie's school district. He must have pulled strings. My fork clattered. Conflict. Worse. Leverage. Nathan closed the lid, jaw tight. He cornered me on that call. Said if I take it, he'll out me to my folks before mom's gone. Play nice or play dirty. The room tilted, betrayal's preview flickering. And the gig. I turned it down. He reached for my hand, but I pulled back, the air thick. Just like that? For me? Or for peace? For us. But doubt wormed in, a pawn's insidious creep. The games after soured, moves mechanical, talk stilted. Nathan threw himself into renovations next door, hammering late, guitar silent. I graded papers alone, red ink bleeding like wounds. One evening, I found a sketch taped to my door. Us mid-checkmate, smiling through chains. Don't let him win, scrawled below. I knocked that night, bored under arm. He answered shirtless, sawdust clinging, eyes wary. Cal. Play. I held it out, olive branch carved in walnut. We sat on his half-painted porch, the board between like a DMZ. His opening was defensive, Karoken, walls up. Midway, thunder growled, and he cracked. Jamie's not the villain, just scared. Like I was. Like we all are. I captured his rook, then offered my queen. But fear's not fate. He took it, then me. Pulling me across the table, kiss salty with sweat and relief. You're my checkmate, Cal. No takebacks. April bloomed treacherous, cherry blossoms mocking our thaw. Mom called from Portland, voice frail. Come visit, honey. Bring that nice boy you've mentioned. I'd let slip about Nathan in a weak moment, and now the floodgates. Questions about rings, futures. Life's short, Caleb. Don't wait like I did. Her words haunted as Nathan and I planned a getaway. Olympic Peninsula, cabin by Lake Crescent, no boards, just us. But en route, his phone rang, sister again. Mom's bad. Flight's booked. I have to go. Alone. The word hung, accusation wrapped in care. He cupped my face, foreheads touching. Come with? Meet the mess. Heart pounding, I nodded. Chicago awaited, meatloaf and minefields. The flight was turbulence incarnate, mirroring the knot in my gut. O'Hare's chill bit deeper than Seattle rain. And Nathan's hand in mine was lifeline as we rented a car, wind off Lake Michigan whipping gray. His childhood home loomed in Evergreen Park. Bungalow with Virgin Mary statue, snow-dusted like a postcard from Penance. His sister, Lena, hugged fierce at the door, eyes red-rimmed. Nathan. And? Caleb. I shook her hand, the air thick with scrutiny. Inside, the scent hit. Can soup? Antiseptic. Mom frail in a recliner. Dad hulking in the kitchen, beer in fist. Greetings were grunts, but Mom's smile cracked through. The artist? Yes? Nathan's told us. Stories. Dinner was meatloaf as predicted, dry, dutiful. Talk skirted edges. Weather, Lena's kids, Mom's chemo. Then Dad's gaze landed, heavy. So, Caleb, what line you in? History teacher. Community college. He grunted approval, then to Nathan. Freelance still? Steady? Steady enough. Nathan's fork scraped, tension coiling. Mom bridged. Show them your sketches, Nate. The ones of Seattle. Rain like tears, but beautiful. He did, portfolio spread on the table. Us captured in ink. Porch nights intertwined. Dad's eyes narrowed on one. Our hands linked. Silence fell thick as fog. Art's fine, Dad rumbled finally. But life's not sketches. Choices have costs. Nathan's chair scraped back. Like yours? Praying away who I am. The room erupted. Lena shushing, Mom weeping soft. Dad's face purpled. I gave you a home, and I left it for air. Nathan stood, chest heaving. I rose too, hand on his back. Mr. Hale, I said, voice steady as lecture hall. Nathan's choices built him strong. Costly, yeah, but worth every line. Dad deflated, staring at his plate. Worth? Echo of doubt. Mom reached, frail fingers on Nathan's. Sit, loves. Life's short. Love's the only win. We sat, the meatloaf cooling, but the fracture mended slight. Dad's grunt softer, a beer offered my way. Later, in the guest room, Nathan curled into me, shaking. You were north tonight. And you're home. Kisses in the dark, quiet affirmations. The world's weight shared. But dawn brought the Real storm. Jamie at the door, uninvited, eyes wild. Heard you were back. We need to talk. Nathan stiffened. Not now. Jamie glanced at me, sneer curling. Who's this? Rebound king. Partner. Nathan's arm around me, steel. Jamie's laugh barked. Partner? After you begged me to stay? Told me you couldn't love a man. Lies. Nathan's voice cracked. You said that. Projected your fear. The porch showdown escalated. Dad looming in the frame. Mom's gasp from within. Jamie's parting shot. You're fooling yourself, Hale. He'll leave like I did, when the world's real hits. He stormed off, taillights fading into slush. Nathan sagged against me. It's nothing. But it was seed of doubt watered by old rain. Back in Seattle, the games resumed, but shadows lingered. Nathan's moves aggressive, overcompensating. Mine cautious, probing for traps. One night, mid-Queen's Gambit, he confessed. Jamie's emailing the client. Sabotaging the Portland gig I turned down. Spreading concerns about my lifestyle. Blackmail. Fury rose hot. Worse. Exposure. He toppled his king, conceding early. If it hits my folks. It won't. I pulled him close, but his body tensed, unyielding. May's sun mocked us. Lilacs blooming while trust wilted. Whispers from Hargrove. Such close neighbors. A student email. Heard about your boyfriend, hope it's not affecting class. Anonymous but pointed. Nathan withdrew. Gig solo, guitar in his yard. I found a letter in our box. Jamie's handwriting. Venomous. He's using you, Caleb. I know his type, runs when cornered. Ask about the Chicago ex he cheated on. Heart leaden, I confronted over cooling coffee. Cheated. Nathan paled. Who? Jamie's twisting. It was one kiss, drunk, before we defined us. I told him. Before. Echo of Marcus's half here. Cal, please. His hand reached, but I stepped back. The board between us a chasm. I need space. The words gutted me, but doubt's a queen, unchecked. He left, door soft, hedge swallowing him whole. June's heat wave baked the suburbs into submission. Lawns yellowing like old regrets. The porch a furnace where solitude smoldered. I played alone again, pieces moving in rote patterns. Each capture a hollow echo of Nathan's laugh. The journal resurfaced from a drawer, pages filling with why now? Why him? Ink bleeding like accusations. Mom called, sensing the fracture. Love's not a solo game, honey. Even kings need queens. But queens betray, don't they? Jamie's letter burned in my mind. A pawn's poison spreading. I drove to Nathan's under cover of dusk, hammer in heart, but his truck was gone. Gig in Tacoma, a post-it said. Back late. Miss you. I crumpled it. The hedge mocking with its trimmed indifference. Days blurred into grading finals, students' essays on redemption arcs that hit too close. Frederick Douglass escaping chains, not unlike the ones I forged myself. Alex's ghost joined the fray. A Facebook friend request, out of nowhere. Long time. Saw you're in Seattle. Coffee? His profile. Husband, 2 boys, life polished as sea glass. I accepted. Met at a cafe near the market. Salt air thick with what-ifs. He looked good, lines around eyes from laughter. Not loss. Cal. Damn, you haven't changed. Hugs awkward. Then coffee. Talks tentative. His escape to LA, therapy unpacking the outing's fallout. I blamed you for years, he admitted, stirring cream slow. But it was the fear. Mine. Yours. We were kids playing with fire. Forgive me? The question hung, raw. He smiled, sad sweet. Forgave myself first. Then you. Life's too short for grudges. We parted with numbers exchanged. A bridge rebuilt over abyss. Home. The revelation settled. Betrayal's not a solo sin. It's shared. A gambit gone wrong. I knocked on Nathan's that night, board under arm, heart in throat. He answered weary, paint flecked from walls, eyes lighting like dawn. Play. I echoed our first night. He stepped aside, porch aglow with string lights he'd hung. Our lights, reclaimed. We started Queen's Gambit declined. defenses high but cracking. Midway I spilled. Alex, the coffee, the absolution. I carried it wrong, like I almost carried us. Nathan's hand stilled over his bishop. And Jamie's letter? Burned it, with the doubt. I captured his peace, then his gaze. Tell me your truth. He did, unvarnished. The kiss, a Bar Hayes Prius, confessed immediate. Jamie's rewriting history to hurt. But you're my edit, the good kind. The kiss reignited, porch creaking under forgiven weight. Summer nights after we're idle. Games by the grill, burgers charring as we plotted futures. Joint freelance, my history infused with his art. Textbook illustrations, he joked. Queer heroes in color. But July's humidity bred storms. Nathan's phone buzzed during a draw. Lena. Mom's gone. Funeral Friday. Come. His face crumpled. King toppled voluntary. I'll drive you, I said, packing bags swift. No. Soft but firm. This one's mine. Family's endgame. I need to face it solo. Solo's lonely. Echo of my own isolation. He cupped my cheek, thumb tracing lip. But you'll be north. Always. The kiss goodbye lingered. Airport drop-off a prelude to ache. Chicago swallowed him, texts sparse. Safe. Cold. Then silence, days stretching like bad middle game. Worry nod, Jamie's shadow, Dad's grudge. On day 4, a call. Not Nathan, Lena. He's here. But complicated. Complicated how? Voice steady, barely. Dad's drinking heavy. Jamie showed up. Support. Stirring shit. Saying Nathan's phase killed Mom's stress. Her sigh crackled line. Nate's holding. But he needs you. Flight booked. Red-eye purgatory. O'Hare dawn. Rental careening south, heart hammering. The bungalow sagged under grief. Black crepe on door. Lena let me in, hug bone crush. Thank God. Inside, murmurs from kitchen. Dad's rumble, Jamie's oil-slick tone. Nathan at the table, head in hands. Dad pacing. You bring this drama home? After all we. Stop. Nathan's voice broke, rising. Mom loved me. All of me. Jamie leaned in, venomous. Loved the son she raised. Not this. I stepped forward. Presence announced. This. Heads turned. Nathan's eyes flooding relief. Dad's scowl deepened. Jamie's smirk faltered. Who the hell? Dad started. Caleb. Nathan's partner. Word bold. Anchor. Jamie laughed. Ugly. Partner? Buddy, he's rebounding. Cheated on me with. Enough. Nathan stood. Fire in blue. You cheated, Jamie. On truth. On us. To Dad. And you? Your silence cheated Mom most. She whispered to Lena. Tell Nate I'm proud. Proud of his heart. Not your rules. Dad deflated, chair scraping as he sank. Proud? Whiskey bottle clinked, poured, offered shaky to Nathan. She said that. Yeah. Nathan took it, sipped, passed to me. Truce in amber. Jamie slunk out, tail between, but not before hissing to me. You'll see. He runs. Funeral was gray drizzle, windy city weeping. Graveside, Nathan spoke. Eulogy of sketches, not sermons. Mom's laugh like jazz, her quiet ally nods over his coming out. Dad stood silent, but arm brushed Nathan's. Contact, concession. Reception at the house. Neighbors murmuring approval. Strong boy, you're Nathan. Lena pulled me aside. He chose you. In all this. Back in the guest room, Nathan collapsed into me. Sobs muffled in my shirt. I thought I'd break. You bent. That's strength. Kisses salt-streaked. Bodies aligning like perfect endgames. We're mated now. Kings together. August healed slow, Seattle's sun forgiving. Games resumed, but evolved. Double boards, tandem strategies against imaginary foes. Nathan's art bloomed. Murals for the college, queer history in vibrant strokes. One night, under harvest moon, he knelt by the board, ringbox disguised as a carved rook. Marry me, Cal? Not for show for us. Checkmate forever. Tears blurred the gems, simple bands, engraved with compass roses. Yes, kiss sealed, fireworks internal. But September whispered warnings. A package arrived, no sender. Jamie's scrawl inside. Photos, grainy. Nathan with a man in Chicago, post-funeral bar, arms slung casual. Caption. See? Runs to anyone. Heart stuttered, but I burned them, ashes to wind. Still doubt's ember glowed. During a gig, Nathan's phone left on charge. Texts from an unknown. Missed you last night. When's round 2? Bar pickup? Or trap? Confrontation brewed. Storm front inevitable. October's leaves turned traitor red, mirroring the flush of confrontation. I waited on the porch, board set but untouched. The carved rook ring heavy on my finger like an unanswered riddle. Nathan's truck crunched gravel late, headlights cutting fog, his step hesitant as he rounded the hedge. Cal? You're up. Texts. I held the phone out, screen glowing accusation. Missed you, Nate. Last night was fire. Cabin fever? His face drained, then rallied. That's shit, Jamie. He hacked my email, spoofed a number. Swear it. Swear how? Voice even but cracking. Photos were him too. Now this? What's the play, Nathan? Test my limits. No play. Truth. He dropped to the chair, hands raking hair. After the funeral, bar with old friends, Lena dragged me. 1 drink turned 5, some guy hit on me. I shut it down. Walked out alone. Jamie's twisting it, like always. Like the kiss? The phase? Doubt spilled, venomous. I'm tired of echoes. He reached, but I recoiled, the board between us a moat. Then hear this, I choose you. Every move. Tears tracked his cheeks, moonlight silvering them. Jamie's losing his grip, called Lena, begging forgiveness. She's blocking him. Dad too. Sent a letter last week. Proud, son. Late, but true. The words pierced, but scars fester. And if it's not enough? If I can't unhear the whispers? Nathan stood, slow, ring-glinting twin to mine. Then we fight for it, like every game. He reset the board, pawn to e4, open, vulnerable. I mirrored d4 solid but engaged. Moves flowed, tense. His Sicilian counter, my pressure building. Midway, confession. I almost left once. With Jamie. After a fight, drove to the airport, ticket to LA. But I saw your sketch on the dash, us on the porch. Turned back. My bishop captured his knight. Why tell me now? Because hiding's the real betrayal. His queen advanced, bold. Your turn, Cal. Trust or fold? Thunder rumbled. First of the season and I toppled my king. Not defeat but draw. Trust. Arms wrapped. Kiss desperate. Rain starting as we stumbled inside. Reaffirming in whispers and warmth. November healed fractures. Games now laced with laughter. Nathan's puns on openings. Why'd the rook go to therapy? Crossed the wrong board. My counters and history quips. Like Napoleon at Waterloo. Overextended ego. We planned the wedding small. Courthouse. Then cabin revisit. Rings exchanged by lake light. But December's chill carried barbs. A letter from Alex. Not reconciliation, but closure. Heard you're engaged. Happy for you. Forgave but some wounds scar. Take care. Attached photo, his family smiles genuine. I showed Nathan, who nodded solemn. Scars make the map. Holiday prep buzzed, tree from a Fremont lot. Ornaments dad's. Mom visiting post-New Year. Nathan's gift. A custom board. Squares inlaid with our birthstones. Edges carved with intertwined initials. Our game, he said. Unwrapping on Christmas Eve. Fire crackling. Mine. A leather journal. Blank pages. Our future. Midnight mass skipped for porch mulled wine. Toasts to ghosts banished. But as bells tolled, his phone buzzed. Unknown. He silenced, but I glimpsed. Jamie. One last talk. For old times. Block him. I urged, wine souring. Already did. But unease lingered. A pawn overlooked. January 2026 dawned crisp. Resolutions whispered. More art shows for Nathan. A queer history elective for me. Our first joint gig, his murals for my lecture hall, unveiling with wine and whispers. Students crowded, eyes wide on portraits. Bayard Rustin, forgotten architect of marches. Marsha P. Johnson, coin of rebellion. You're legends, a kid said, shy. Nathan beamed, arm around me, casual public, the world shifting slight. But February's Valentine snowed us in cabin fever suite. Board games by hearth, bodies mapping deeper loyalties. Forever's a long middle game, he murmured one night, fingers tracing my spine. Best kind. Kiss answer. March thawed revelations. Mom arrived, frail but fierce, hugging Nathan like long lost. He's a keeper, Cal. Eyes like your dad's, steady. Over pot roast, she shared dad's hidden letter, found postmortem. To my son. If you're reading, know I saw you. Loved the fighter in you. Play on. Tears flowed, board passed around. Mom's pawn push wobbly but wise. Your family, Nathan told her, ringed hand over hers. April bloomed vows. Lake Crescent, officiant a old college buddy, Lena and a college pal witnesses. Vows handmade. I choose your chaos, your quiet. Check to my mate. Rings slid, lake mirroring, kiss sealed under evergreens. Honeymoon haze, Portland art crawl, then home to merged lives, his guitar by my desk, our sketches on walls. Games nightly, now with bets. Loser cooks or massages, stakes rising playful. But May's mail brought ambush. Certified envelope, Jamie's lawyer. Cease and desist, defamation. Claim. Nathan's eulogy implied Jamie's role in mom's stress, plus slander in blocking calls. He's unraveling, Nathan said, crumpling it. Lost his job, school board, fallout from our scandal. Fight it. I pulled him close. We've got north. Lawyer consults drag June. Depositions dredging dirt. Jamie's emails, hacked proofs. Witnesses from the bar swearing Nathan's fidelity. Dad's letter submitted, character bolt. Judge dismissed, slap on wrist for Jamie. Restraining order, therapy mandate. Victory porch party. Lena visiting, toasts with Rainier. To burdens lifted, she said, clinking. July's heat peaked climax. Anonymous post online, college forum. Professor Whitaker's hubby cheating? Pics or it didn't. Attached. Doctored shots, Nathan with the bar guy, timestamps faked. Panic surged. Students staring, admin emails. Discretion advised. Nathan raged. Jamie. Again. I confronted the source, traced IP to Chicago. His sister's old roommate. Bribed bitter. Police report filed, but damage seeped. Whispers in halls. A resignation nudge from Dean. Nathan found me pacing kitchen, board overturned. We run. No. I write it upon. We castle. Together. August stormed in literal and lit. Power out, candles are bored, moves by touch. This is us, he said, night to F3 blind. Feeling the way. September schooled us. Public handholds at markets, art walks arm in arm. Forum died. Admin backed off. Queer ally Dean. Your assets, not liabilities. October's harvest brought harvest. Nathan's mural show, sold out. Critics praising, tender reckonings. My elective boomed. Students sharing stories, closets cracked. November's eve, 1 year since first game, we replayed it. Rain hammering, his voice from hedge. Checkmate? He echoed, stepping out dramatic. Or ghosts. I pulled him in Kiss Eternal. But December 2026 circled back. Anniversary shadowed. Jamie's final gambit. Doorstep, gaunt, eyes hollow. I'm sorry. Lost everything, job, girl, self. You were right. Nathan, door half open. Me behind. Sorry start. But actions. I know. Jamie's nod broken. Therapy. Figuring my shit. We let him go, no bridge but no burn. Human. Nathan said later, board reset. Even villains. January 2027 rose resolute. Our merged yard a testament. Hedge gone. Shared deck spanning properties. Chess table centerpiece under pergola Nathan built. Games drew neighbors. Hargrove with cookies. Tentative questions melting to toasts. Never thought I'd host a queer power couple. She laughed, pawn pushing bold. Our story rippled. Alex's email, proud of your chapter. Write the end happy. Mom's visits regular. Stories of dad's quiet pride. VCR Philadelphia now a family legend. February's snow-sculpted serenity. Cabin retreats deeper. No boards, just books. Fun home by firelight. Pages turning like trusts. This is legacy, Nathan said, head on my lap. Ours. March marked milestones. My 10-year track, his gallery solo. Portraits of us. Veiled as neighbors in narrative. Critics lauded the humanism of hidden hearts. April's renewal. Adoption seminar. Whispers of family beyond blood. Kids. Lena teased over video her boys waving. Uncle Nate's got the stories. May's mail now joy invites to panels. Queer educators, artists united. June's solstice sun blessed beach days. Golden Gardens echo healed. Nathan and I. Hands laced open. Waves washing old confessions. July's heat forged fire. A storm down the pergola, but we rebuilt stronger. Rebar in beams. Metaphor manifest. Like us, I said, hammering beside him. August's art camp. Teaching teens chess and coming out. Nathan's murals backdrops. One kid, shy with sketches, confided, your story gave me moves. Nathan teared, hugging fierce. September's equinox balanced books. My memoir draft, Pawn's Progress. Our tale, anonymized tender. Agent snapped it. Human as hell. American Dream. Rainbow remix. October's chill crisp clarity. Jamie's card arrived. Postcard from rehab. Found north. Thanks for the mirror. No reply needed. Closure's quiet. November's rain remade our first night. Deliberate loss, but now shared win. Porch aglow, board eternal. December's close circled complete. One evening, under strung lights, Nathan knelt again. Not proposal, but promise renewed. 10 years from now, kids, cabin, chaos. You in. Check. Ring kiss eternal. But the real hook lingered. Life's board never ends. Moves infinite. We'd lost queens. Marcus, Jamie, ghosts, but gained kings. Each other, family forged. Years later, gray threading our hair, porch sagging but sturdy. We'd teach grandkids openings. Love's the best gambit. Risk it all. Nathan's hand in mine, weathered warm. And the win. Always, I'd say, queen advancing unafraid. Hearts mated. In Seattle's endless drizzle, burdens lifted not by erasure, but embrace. The game, the talk, the love that checked every shadow.